Kier Starmer has surrendered to illegal immigration, and now we are going to see another mass migration crisis, which I think is going to be the most catastrophic one so far, and that includes what Tony Blair did. This video doesn't make an argument in favour or against immigration, though I think we all know where I'm up to. It actually explains to you why the Immigration, Asylum and Border Security Bill will be such a disaster for the United Kingdom. Hello everyone, this is Andre Walker. Thanks so much for watching this video. Please do subscribe, but more importantly, hit the bell notification icon. It's the best way to absolutely guarantee you get all my videos as soon as they are released. Look, the Rwanda plan, I think, was probably a little bit silly, simply because only a small number of people were going to go over to Rwanda. But I think that basic idea of processing asylum claims outside the United Kingdom is probably a sensible thing to do. What we've done instead is allowed people to come to the United Kingdom, then we've assessed their asylum claims, then they fail in their asylum claims, and then what happens is they're able to stay anyway because of a right to family life. Well, let me tell you what Kier Starmer's new bill is, and let me start first of all with the good bit. This is the good bit. I honestly think that his attempts to deal with gangmasters and criminal gangs across Europe may actually work. I think it's in everybody's interest, including the European Union, to try and deal with these people. I don't think it'll make an enormous difference, but it's definitely not a stupid idea to attempt to smash the people smugglers before people get to the United Kingdom. Because what happens is people get off the boat at Dover, and then what they'll say is, oh look, I am an illegal migrant, I want to claim asylum, but also I want to say that I'm a modern slave as well. And just to explain what that means is, they will, in somewhere like Tirana in Albania, when you get visited by the people smugglers, they say, we'll take you to the United Kingdom, but you owe us £15,000 for the journey. But that money has to come out of the labour or benefits you get when you come to the United Kingdom. Now, technically, that makes you a modern slave. And because you're a victim of crime, first of all, if your asylum claim doesn't work, then you've got the modern slave, and then you've got the right to family life if you've met and dated someone since you arrived, which isn't going to be very difficult because this is going to take years. So that's the problem. Now, what has Kier Starmer done? Point number one. The most important thing sounds incredibly boring. It's that people who come here illegally will have the right to stay indefinitely and become British citizens. That has never happened before. What's happened before is that you would never be granted the right to stay, and that effectively makes it an amnesty. And so you think, well, hang on a second, why are these people never deported? The reason they're never deported is because the Home Office doesn't get their shit together. But now what will happen is they will literally be entitled to stay in the United Kingdom. Now, it's not a one-off amnesty like Tony Blair brought in, but it is fundamentally an amnesty on everyone in the end. That there is now a route to become a British national, even if you are an illegal alien to the United Kingdom. Also, of course, it's removed the whole Rwanda scheme. Now, whatever you think about the Rwanda scheme, I maintain it's a good idea to process people in their own countries or indeed in a third country. Remember what Australia did. And I think this is a brilliant idea, by the way. So, obviously, Rishi Sunak ordered the Royal Navy to stop the boats. And the Royal Navy effectively refused to stop the boats. And the reason they refused to stop them was they said, well, what do you want us to do? We can't just send a battleship and turn them round. But he actually asked the wrong question. What you really need to do is this, what Australia did, which is get the migrants on board the boat, the Royal Navy boat, fix their own boat, and put them back on the boat with food and say, look, you have a perfect legal right to bob round in international waters for as long as you want. That is your right. Also, we have a duty as a responsible Navy to protect people and save the lives of those in danger at the sea. But you're not coming into UK territorial waters. So what happens is you bob round for another couple of days next to the battleship, and next time your boat needs fixing, we will take you off. We will fix the boat. We will put food on board and we will put you back on board the boat. And we will do that as many times as is necessary. But what we're now going to do is divide out a couple of propositions. Proposition number one is that Just because you don't want people to die on the sea doesn't mean you have to bring them to Britain. Proposition number 2, the whole idea of your first interaction with British authorities being in Britain needs to be wrong. And proposition number 3, even though it's hugely wasteful for resources, we need to protect people, protect the borders by saying you don't cross it at all. Look, what the Conservatives and indeed Reform have said is that Kier Starmer now is much more interested in open borders. He's always been interested in human rights because he believes that everybody across the world should have the same rights. Remember what he said about stopping the small boats? And I'm not going to do the impersonation anymore because I appreciate I sound like Nelson Mandela and people keep making comments in the description. Right. Here's what fundamentally has happened that has made it incredibly difficult or wrong, whichever way you want to look at it. When Kier Starmer started talking about stopping the small boats, what he said was instead people should make their application in British embassies and be flown over to Britain at the expense of the taxpayer. And he said that would stop the small boats. Now, I think what he's done is willfully misunderstood the point here. When we said stop the small boats, yes, we were concerned of the dangers on the Channel. And if anybody's been out in December in a ferry on the Channel, you know how dangerous it is. But okay. What we're principally talking about is the illegal migration invasion. That's what we're talking about. And to say that the solution to small boats problem is to fly them to the United Kingdom instead, I think is grossly silly and irresponsible. I think it's very, very simple. All we have to start doing is enforcing the rule that you go to your nearest safe country. I've said this before. I was involved with Ukrainian refugees, and the vast majority of them went to Poland and Moldova and countries like that. Countries where they had cousins and relatives. I will tell you, when people are running for their lives, they do not go, Tokyo seems nice this time of year. They get over the border and they hide behind the military defences of that border, say Poland in Krakow or whatever. And let me say something else about what is happening now. The small boats now will boom in numbers, and we will get a significant problem with that, even worse than what we've got at the moment. But let me just say this. During the past couple of years, there have been 3 occasions when there was a potential genocide. None of those genocides actually happened, right? First was in Nagorno-Karabakh, or Artsakh, depending on the way you pronounce it. That was the Armenian territory that was invaded by Azerbaijan. Now, as it turned out, the Azeris did not behave in the way that perhaps the Armenians feared. The next one was in Ukraine when Russia invaded. Basically, the Russian invasion of the Ukrainian bits of Ukraine really didn't happen, and they only end up invading the Russian bits. And so whilst there was some bad things that took place, there wasn't that mass genocide that we worried about. And of course, we all know what took place in Gaza, the targeted attacks on Hamas. Had those 3 things been actual genocides, we would not have been able to take in refugees in order to protect them from what had taken place. That is something that I think is genuinely shameful. You have a situation in the United Kingdom where all these hotels are filled with migrants, and then you have a situation where in the Irish Republic 30 or 40% of all hotel rooms in the country are filled up by people claiming to be refugees who fundamentally are not refugees. This new bill by Kier Starmer enables him to let all these people come to the country. This indefinite right to remain and route to British citizenship, that's the end. The Conservatives were stupid on the discharge of Rwanda, but the general principle that you would be protesting in a third country was always a good idea. But the only way you can do that is to turn people away at the border, and the only way to do that is for the Royal Navy to stop these boats. And I accept that the Royal Navy won't let these people sink, and so I think my idea is the best way to do it. But once again, by the time Kier Starmer is out of office, the damage he will have done will be, once again, something that we can't deal with in our lifetimes. We are going to come to a point where immigration is so high that this country is completely lost. Districts of London are already like that. How much further do you want to go? The rights of people who are coming from war-torn countries ought to be protected. But remember what that is. That is for Ukrainians to go to Moldova and to Poland. number of Ukrainians that came to the UK was very, very small. The reason is they want to be in Russian-speaking countries and they want to be as close to their menfolk as possible. Till next time, goodbye.